Hi everyone, this is Jan, and I wanted to do this demo for you because I was so curious about these golden open acrylics. I got a few more colors added to my kit, and I was waiting for that sap green to come in. But what I have done, I'm on an 8x8 canvas. I'm on, let's see, I have a 16 flat brush. I put a pattern on. This is from our peony pattern. Those of you who might have taken my peony class, and you might want to go ahead and make this into a little wildflower instead of a peony. So the first thing I did was get my pattern on, and then the second thing I did was put out some white acrylic, and then I went ahead and put out some of this open thinner. Now this comes with the kit, and it works similar to a blending gel that you have whenever you use your bottle acrylics. I use the blending gel with the folk art colors. Well, with the open colors, they have their own thinner, and that is called open thinner. So I use that like a blending gel. So the first thing that I did was I went ahead and used some of that thinner with white, and I went ahead and I put a really thin coat of the white all around this flower. Okay, it's real loose, it's very thin, and when I tilt the canvas, you can see that it is still shiny and it was wet. Then the next thing I did was get out some of this sap green I have over here, put that on the palette, mix in some of the open thinner with that, and I started down in the bottom here with crisscross strokes. This is darker down here than it is up here, and I just worked my color up into over halfway there, okay, and then went to the other side. So these two corners are darker than even this right here, and I just worked in the sap green, and I have a lighter coat up here. I didn't have a lot of open time or blending time with this. It went ahead and dried on me very quickly. I don't know if it has to do with California here. We are on a hot day here, so I have fans going, but I don't have a cooler or AC on right now. So just maybe the air made it dry, or being the canvas was not primed. It was primed with gesso when you buy it, but I didn't have a coat of acrylic on it when I was putting on the sap green. So maybe all of this white that I had on here soaked up into that gesso that was already on the canvas. So that's why it dried a lot faster. So I'm going to test that out and see if it makes a difference when I start doing leaves around here. I'll see if those leaves will stay wet longer for me to do the brush strokes than what it did whenever I did the background. So there's a lot of testing going on doing this little wild rose that I'm going to be doing. And I'll just take you along with that little test and let you see what happens with these open acrylics. We'll see how long they stay open, and we'll give them a test. All right, I'll see you in a few when I come back, and we're going to start on those leaves. All right, see you in a few. So what I am going to do is go ahead and coat this. The background is dry, but I want to coat the area that I'm going to put the leaf in, and I want to go out past where my leaf is going to be. Okay, so I've already done that, and I'm using the open thinner, and I do have to dip into just a little bit of water, just the corner of the brush, and mix that with a little bit of the thinner and go ahead and put it on. The thinner is a thicker type gel, so using a little bit of water thins it enough to where I have a real thin coat on there instead of a real thick one. Now if you're doing bottle acrylic, you would use your blending gel and coat an area of blending gel, okay? So then once I do that, then I take my brush and I go into some of the sap green. Now I need a pattern. So I'm just gonna outline a little pattern there. Then the next thing I want to do is pick up a little thinner with some sap green, and I just want to base coat this in. Now you can see when I base coat this in that it appears to be sort of loose because I have the thinner underneath that, okay? So if I want that a little thicker in color, just pick up a little thicker sap green and go ahead and put that in the middle. Now what I can do is I can go ahead and put a few other colors in here while I have it there, just like we did on the cluster of leaves I did the other day. I used some blues. I could have some yellows over here. And I don't know if that's going to show up very much, but we can. Alright, cleaning my brush in water. So the next thing I do is I want to put a center vein in there, and that is real distinct because it is wet right there. So the next thing I want to do is go ahead and put in my side petals, not petals, but side strokes over here. So I'm picking up some sap green, and I have both sides loaded. And the first thing I want to do is touch outside of my line, like that. Now vary your strokes so that some of them are longer and some of them are shorter. Wipe my brush on a paper towel. Come over here. We're going to use yellow. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull out some of that yellow. I'm going to load both sides of my brush. I'm going to start at the top here, yellow, vary the length, and come out here a little bit further. Okay. Now wipe the brush off. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white with some yellow so that I have a little bit lighter color. And I'm going to go over the yellow part right there with a little bit of white and yellow. See how much lighter that came up? And I'm doing this because I want it variated on there. Now the next, wipe the brush, next color, I'm going to pick up a little bit of this blue, this real pretty manganese blue. And while it's wet, this side is the shadow side, so I'm going to go out a little further. I'm going to put a little bit of that blue in there. Isn't that pretty? Okay, let's go ahead and touch that side. And as you do this, you know, your colors will intermingle. That's what you want. A little bit of gel on that. Okay. I like different variations of length in that. So we can look at our canvas. It is still wet. See that sheen right there? Okay, our canvas is still wet. So if we want to come back and add any other colors, we can. The only thing I want to do is put in some skinny little veins. I like it to be wet for this too because it makes them real thin. Okay, there we go. like that. All right, now put your veins in. Now what I will do is I will finish out the rest of these leaves on where I want them. I might do a small cluster, I'm not quite for sure. I'll just think about what I want to put around here, but I wanted to show you how to put your leaves in, and this is similar to the hydrangea leaves that we did. But like I say, if you're going to use bottle acrylics, just use your blending gel in the place of this open thinner. And this open thinner seems to be staying wet longer than a blending gel if you were using bottle acrylics. And I think the brightness of the paints are a lot brighter and look more like oils than your bottle acrylic. Okay, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but it appears to me to be a lot brighter than using the bottle acrylic. So I'll continue on, finish all these leaves out, and when I come back the next time, we're going to start on these flower petals so we can get this little painting done and see how it looks. All right, be back in a few. All right, we are back, and I wanted to show you an easier way to put this open thinner on. Means it has a little pointed bottle, that you close. I just put a little drop on the canvas there, see it? And then I just take my large brush, a 16, and I just work it into canvas. That seems to be easier than putting it on my palette and then picking it up with the brush and bringing it over here to the canvas. So I've applied a really thin coat over here, and as you can see, I have done a few little flip-flop strokes over here. And what I would like to do, I'm not going to do any more big leaves. I'm going to do another set of the flip-flops right in here into the corner. Alright, so I've got that in. I'm going to set that in my water. And I'm going to pick up a number 8 filbert. And I want to start these little flip-flops. Now I'm going to turn my canvas because I have to have it when I work. I want to work with the top up here and then work down, okay? So I'm going to pick up a little bit of the sap green again. Now I'm going to use a little bit of water mixed in with my sap green. I'm pulling it out. I want you to see this. When I mix a little water, I have a little water on my brush and I go into my paint and I pull it out and I have a little pile here and it's very loose. See how loose that is? You can see through it, and that's what I want. See how you can't see through this? This is not real loose, but I want it loose because I want it to be real fluid whenever I start coming back and doing these little flip-flops. And what I do is I start at the base here, and then I am twisting and turning. See my fingers? I'm twisting my fingers, and I'm moving around doing these little flip-flops. Like that, okay? And when you do that, it creates all these unusual shapes that look like foliage. It just does it automatically. All you have to do is just move your brush around, okay? And that's kind of the shape that I want there. Now in the base of this, I want the base to be a little darker so I can actually add, let me get on more paint, I'm going to add a little more maybe blue back in here so it's a little deeper in color. That's going to add a little depth to your painting there. A little blue there. See how I have a little bit of blue up in here? So if I want to continue that, and I want it to look like, let's see, let's do more flower right here. Now when you first start doing these little fluffy floppies, you're going to be doing them, so you're going to be going here, here, here. It's actually easier if you do them fast, okay? Rather than do them a little slow. If you do them slow, then you get a random, you get a pattern going, and you don't want a pattern going on this. You want it to be real random. And if I touch my brush, it will do kind of a arch for you. And I use this for a lot of foliage on landscapes and everything. Alright, once you get that in, let's come back and let's do some little flippies. Okay, and that is done in a deeper green. And I touch the filbert and flip it. Touch and flip it. And you get these little flippies. Then come back while your brush is on a chisel edge, and you can put in some stems. This makes a really dainty looking leaf when you're using this method here. So if you need to redo your blue a little bit more, pick up a little more blue and flip while it's wet and flip flop some of that blue back there. See, because we want different variations of that blue. Now let's turn this around. Okay, and let's see if we have a pleasing. Let's filter that one off this way. This one can go this way. And let's see if we can have this one kind of go off that way. We can have some blue flip-flop strokes there and there. And I want to deepen this little part right here. Okay? So if I'm looking at this, okay, now that looks a little too narrow here, so I'm going to come back. I'm going to work on a little bit of color up that way. That way it doesn't look like I have a little, just a string going up that way. Alright, these down here, do these look goofy? Yes, well, sometimes you get goofy shapes, you know, because I was doing this upside down. Just might need to widen it. Let's widen this down a little bit too. That way I don't have any just straight lines going different directions. And I'll just soften this up in here a little bit. Let me pick up a little blue over here. I'm going to pick up a little water in my brush. And let's just, maybe I'll have a little line here. I see a little line here. So I'm going to create it like it's maybe got some of the flowers going on here a little bit. I think that'd be pretty with a little swoop coming down. Alright everyone, I think I am pretty much finished with all this greenery down in here. This little leaf up here, he looks awful lonely. I don't have anything going on up there for it. Let's see if I can just kind of add some light greenery here so it doesn't look so, nothing real definite, just a little bit of greenery so it's not so white up there. Okay. Now, if there's anything else you want to do in this area here, it's still wet for me. Well, I think I'm pretty much finished with that. I'm ready to start these petals. I want to get to the good stuff. All right, everyone, go ahead and finish this much out. You don't have to let this completely dry because the petals are all by themselves, so you can go ahead and start on those petals right away. All right, let's go ahead and start on those petals. So here we are again, and I have done 4 of the petals here, and this little petal here, I have put the open thinner on. If you're using bottle acrylic, you will be putting your blending gel on. And I have found that when you're doing the open thinner, that you just use one drop per petal. Okay, see that little drop there? And you do one of those, and then you just go ahead and mix it right into your canvas there. Okay, I hope that doesn't create too much to show you that. And if you get too much, let's do this. You can blend. You can just pick up a little paper towel and you can blot it. Okay, because I was showing you, I think I have a double dose on there, so I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of that off, and then I'm just going to stretch it out to be sure I have it. Okay, I'm going to turn this petal the other way because I have to work with the petal up on the top there for me to do the blending that I like to blend. Now, this little blending technique I watched Painting with Yvette, and she's an oil painter. She does Bob Ross oils. Beautiful landscapes, and occasionally she will do a floral. And she has one of her florals, the wild rose that she just did this month, and I picked up her tip on how to layer the petal that she did, and she inspired me to try this in acrylics to see how it would work. But I really like the technique. I used the technique for these 4 petals, and I'm going to show you that technique also. And you might want to go to her YouTube channel and see how she does her oils. And I wanted to see if I could take one of her oil paintings and turn it into acrylics. All right, Yvette, this one's for you. Okay, so the first color I want to use is a light pink. So I have a little bit of alizarin here, and I am just mixing a little white with that. You know, if you have acrylics, you'll use a light pink. And I'm just going to base coat this color on like that. I'm just going to block it in. I don't want it real thick. I want it loose like that, making sure my background on that petal is still wet. Wipe the brush on a paper towel and then go into some straight alizarin. See how dark that is? Alizarin crimson. Now when you get the tube acrylics, you don't have all these bottled acrylics and all these colors, so I know they have alizarin crimson in the bottled acrylic. Alright, now that is still wet, and I want to take my brush and I want to fan up some of this alizarin right in the bottom here. Okay, don't go up all the way, just part way. Okay, now you're going to wipe your brush off, and then I'm going to go into some white. Now it's really important that this white is thin, so I'm dipping the corner of my brush in water, and I am going to mix this white really thin. Now I can tell it's dragging on me, so it's not thin enough. I want it loose. Dip again, and I dip the corner of the brush, not the whole brush, just the corner. I want this loose. I want it to where when I pull on it, it's not going to drag with me. Okay, now this is the little stroke that Yvette uses on her painting for the wild rose, and it's called an S stroke, so I'm going to give that S stroke a whirl here. So you start at the top. Now lay your brush flat, don't do a chisel edge. Okay, now the other side, you've got an S stroke over here. Okay, now that isn't loose enough for me. It's going to put too much paint on there. Okay, and the rest of this, keep your brush flat, and you just pull in. This one will have a rounded edge, that one will too. And as you pull in your different angles, you can pick up some of this color, and that will give you the ridges. Now if you let this set just a little bit, then you can come back and you can add some of these ridges on here. See how I got a little ridge on that? Touch, go the angle of your petal. See, that little S really helps because it gives you a little shape down there so that you can use it to your advantage when you're doing a petal, and it puts in all of those little curves for you. Okay, so it's real important that you follow the curve of that petal. Okay, make it curved, don't make it straight. All right, and then when you use that to your advantage, then you can come in with your different curves, and you'll get these little ruffles also, little ridge ruffles, and it actually looks like, you know, your petal is just, now see that picked up a little bit of that dark pink. So I'm going to lay on my brush to the left over here. I'm going to come down, lay on the left there. That's going to create a little, like a little curve in there. Okay, so that's how you can get those little ridges in there. And if you need to soften the edge, if you didn't go out far enough, see, there's that little curve there. May have to come back, you know, and round off those petals a little bit. Okay, this is the bottom. All right, so that is how you would do your little petals, and I really like this technique. Now one thing I see here is this petal is over here, so I'm going to load a little bit of white on that left side there. I'm going to go over this petal and I'm going to lean to the left. Okay, and then I'm just going to soften the edge, the back edge of this other petal. Now this petal is in front. There we go. So I have, looks like it's kind of rolled. I have a little dark, a little light. That's how they do, you know, like fabric or anything like that. And it will do the same thing when you're doing petals, for you to, so it looks like it's rolled there. I like using that technique. Okay, so go ahead and kind of mess with it. All right, and I might go ahead and deepen some of the color in here. Not for sure yet. I want a little bit of white on this edge here, so I'm leaning on the right side, and then you would kind of feather out the other side. Now I see a little petal here. Lean to the right. Now that has a little petal coming down on that side. Okay, that's all you have to do when you're highlighting it. Thank you, Yvette. I really like this. It does a really, really soft blend for you. I think it's great. Great way to do your blending and over stroking your petal instead of coming in and doing a short stroke like I do on a lot of my petals. With the shorter petals, when you have longer petals, this is really a nice way to do them also. Now I don't think I need to come in and do any shorter strokes. Let's see what that would look like. I'm just curious. I kind of like the smooth. I like the smooth stroke that Yvette got when she did hers. So the next thing I would do is go ahead and put in my center, and I'll go ahead and put that in with a little mini scruffy, and I'm gonna put dark on the bottom here, and then I'm gonna put yellow in the center. And only thing that I am going to do is to dab that center in, and by that I mean I'm going to pick up color. I'm going to use the back corner of the brush. I'm going to tap in some dark color right under here. Then I'm going to flip the brush over, load it with maybe yellow, and pounce a color in there, just pouncing it. And then I'm going to put some stamens in with my liner brush to where they come out. And then I'm going to look and see if there's anything else I want to do. I'll probably come back and deepen some of those colors, and we will be finished. So be back in a few. Okay, everyone, here is our finished painting. And I used an oval mop brush to put in the center, and I loaded one end of the mop brush with sap green, the other end with the bright yellow. Tapped in the dark color first, made a little half moon across the bottom, flipped it over, and went ahead and tapped in the yellow. Once I had that done, I went ahead and used a liner brush and used sap green, watered down, and put in the little stamens. And after I did that, I used the liner brush still with a little bit of white and yellow and made a soupy pile of that, and I put in the little dots for the center. And I came back and I used the filbert brush, and I used a little bit more of this blue. Let me show you the blue here. It is pretty. That's that Maltese blue with a little white in it. It makes a really pretty turquoise color. And I put some of that in, just reinforce some of that color so it would stand out a little more. And then put the little centers in with yellow and white. And the only other thing I did was I took a flat brush, number 12, and I loaded it with the sap green and some of the thinner. For acrylics you would use floating medium, and I went ahead and I floated dark color all around the petal and inside here. You can see some of the float there. That way it puts a little more depth in that so that the flower pops up forward. If your flower's kind of disappearing in your background here, that's what you need to do. And so I did that, and that is the only other thing that I did to finish this off. Now I want to thank the person that gave me the inspiration to do this wild rose, and if you have a chance to go on her YouTube channel, it is Painting with Yovette, and she has a lot of your wet and wet flowers on there. She does mostly landscapes, but occasionally she will do a flower, and this is the flower that she did with her last painting of this month, and I decided to turn it into an acrylic painting because I have more acrylic subscribers than I have oil painters. So I just wanted to give it a whirl using these open acrylics here, and they do stay wet longer than a bottle acrylic, but you who have the bottle acrylic, you just switch over to blending gel instead of the open thinner, and that's all you have to do, and you can go ahead and create this little painting also. So I had fun doing it. I think it turned out really cute, just a little 8x8, and give it a whirl and see how you like doing these wild roses in a different type of stroke than what I'm used to doing. So with that in mind, thank you so much. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel so you get all notifications of the new little paintings. I'm doing quite a few because it's summertime and I'm not going out in the heat. I'm staying inside the house, so I tend to do more YouTube videos. Also, make sure you sign up for my classes. I have sign-ups I'm taking for July right now, and this little painting here, if you want to do this little painting here, we can do this little painting as a beginner class also. So give me a message on Facebook. Use Facebook Messenger to contact me if you're interested in your classes. My classes are $25 for a 2-hour session on Zoom. All of my classes are private classes. I don't do any group classes. They're all private. That way I can give you individual attention on whatever you need to learn on your painting. I teach acrylics and I teach oils. I like teaching in the water mixable oils. So those of you who might be oil painters, I teach both acrylics and oils. All right. Now also, we just finished up this little painting here the other day, and if you want to take this class also, those of you who have finished my version 1 in classes, if you want to go ahead and take another set of classes, you can do these 2 paintings here in your next session of paintings. Those that have already done the 3 or the 2 beginner classes that have the peony. These are beginner classes. That's a peony. Some of you have finished all of them. Some of you still have maybe 1 painting to do, and when you're finished with those, you want something else to paint, you can go ahead and paint these. Or you can watch my YouTube channel and you can just do it on your own if you want to. So anyway, thank you so much. I've enjoyed this. Make sure you take care and start your summer off right and do a little something for yourself and take a class. Okay, till next time, bye for now, take care, and I'll see you then.